As we're still coping with COVID-19 pandemic, we were in total lockdown when on Sunday, the strongest earthquake in Zagreb since 1880 happened and caused substantial damage in the historical city center and severely damaged our collections and the museum. Our museum buildings and collections are protected and registered as a cultural property. Glyptotheque is an integral part of the Croatian Academy of Sciences and Arts, a museum of sculpture that gives an overview of sculpture from ancient time to the present day. The museum is housed in a formal industrial tannery, and it is one of the first examples of the conversion of industrial architecture for cultural purposes in the 1940s. We have the largest collections of sculpture in Croatia in 9 collections that gives an overview of sculpture from ancient times to the present day. Valuable original works of Croatian sculpture from 19th century till contemporary sculpture. We collect mainly plaster models of eminent Croatian sculptures. Also, we have plaster casts of national heritage sculpture from antiquity to the Renaissance period. Presentation of capital sculptures and at one place emphasizes the educational significance of the collections. And with this purpose, it is a unique institution in Croatia. So when the strong earthquake magnitude 5.5 happened in Zagreb on March 22nd in the 2020s, the first step was to determine the greater and visible damage from the outside, constructive damages, chimneys, tiles. Except chimneys, the static of the building were not compromised. We had to put down, as you see on the picture, 5 chimneys. And afterwards, the static review and the civil protection for estimating the security that was necessary to enable our museum staff for entering all parts of the buildings, because we are a complex of 4 buildings on several floors. After entering into the buildings, first step was to determine the damage and to photograph and document everything. All this was happening working in teams due the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been very hard for everyone in Zagreb who had faced the destruction for us in museum. Was very hard to watch our damaged heritage in all the collections and the building. We had damaged roofs and the spaces of permanent display of collections of Croatian sculpture from 19th to 21st century, had severe damages on walls that cracked and the plaster that fell off. The value of collection lies in the fact that it is the largest and the most systematically collected collection of modern Croatian sculpture, which provides an overview of development of Croatian sculpture from second half of the 19th century till the 21st century. In the holdings of the museum, almost complete opuses of individual Croatian sculpture are exhibited and preserved. In order, significant works of art, which presents the highest achievement of Croatian sculpture of that time. Most of the collections consist of original sculptures in durable materials and original plaster models. Severe damage suffered plaster models by Ivan Rendić, whose work marks the beginning of Croatian modern sculpture. Therefore, he is justifiably called the father of Croatian modern sculpture. Unique and one of the most significant names in contemporary Croatian sculpture, Ivan Kožarić, long-time head of the Glyptotheque. His work from the museum's holding Red Sign was also damaged. The collection of plaster casts of ancient sculpture has castings of capital works of Greek sculpture from archaic to Roman period that were collected from various museums in Europe, Rome, Naples, Paris, Berlin, London, and the castings were made in renewed European workshops that gained a reputation in the production of the highest quality works through the 19th century. For example, Briaxit Zeus Otricozzoli from Gipsformerei in Berlin. Plaster casts of fragments of immovable monuments of Croatian cultural heritage from pre-Romanesque to Renaissance period, including major works from various sites in Croatia. After permanent displays in museum storages, the damage was fatal. Placed mostly in higher levels of the buildings, the earthquake damaged a large number of sketches, unique plaster model sculptures by estimated Croatian artists who entrusted Croatian sculpture with their artistic work and thus positioned it as a part of European art. As you can see, those damages. So from the very beginning, the professional staff of the Glyptotheque worked on estimating the damage, photographing, documenting, securing, and preventing further damage to museum objects that was possible. Packing, collecting all parts for later reconstruction and restoration, marking the boxes, securing the shelves, and packing and securing the material that was collected and placed in safe place. Unfortunately, in July 2020, in Zagreb, a large amount of rain caused material damage and floods. So also in our museum, some part of storages had to be evacuated for leaking through the roof, and we had to evacuate some parts of the storages. All of this would not be possible without enthusiasm and help in these difficult moments, and I cannot find the words to express our gratitude to all of our colleagues and friends of the museum who also from abroad who were concerned about our condition and contacted us. Also our colleagues who gave us advices and linked us to our volunteers. In such moments, you learn to appreciate in the full sentence of the word solidarity and care for heritage. We were linked with Archaeological Museum of Istria, who offered help, and I would like to express thankfulness to the director, Darko Komšo, with his professional staff, the senior restorer and head of the Conservation Restoration Department, Jenny Gobić-Braver. We contacted an open call of International Institute for Conservation of Historical Artistic Work of Croatian group, who offered professional assistance through the Volunteer Center of Zagreb. We contacted the president of the association, Jana Matulić-Bilać, and with the support of the Volunteer Center Zagreb, we started collaborating with our volunteers. The precise help that we needed was professional help to fill out the forms with a list of damages, which all museums in the city of Zagreb were required and obligated to complete. Our volunteers, the senior conservative restorer Ivana Sambolić and academic sculptor Ana Skračić, began in May and ended in the late September. Taking their time, knowledge, and they sacrificed their time to help us. They would come in our storages and spend hours and hours with our curators, examining all the sculptures' damages and estimating necessary repairment. We had to make a detailed, as you can see, report on the degree and the type of damage on every sculpture. The form included basic information, the degree of damage, description of damage, necessary measures for protection of the object, as well as the necessary conservation and restoration work for repairing the damage caused by an earthquake in individual object, with estimated of work hours and material costs. Since we had over 350 sculptures in various materials and measurements, from small busts to sculpture of 3 to 4 meters, the work was very demanding and challenging. Our volunteers, Anna and Ivana, also gave us professional guidance in dealing with damaged sculptures, ways of securing and preventive protection storages. We had damaged and partly destroyed 345 sculptures from 9 collections that are protected as cultural heritage. The total value of damaged works of art are estimated, as you can see here, on 15,053,000 kuna. The work that we have in front of us is very challenging, but thanks to our contact with Lady Jadranka Beresford-Pierce, who is the founder of the trustee of the International Trust for Croatian Monuments, she's a fascinating personality who is engaged in raising funds both for restoration of damaged monuments and from such an important part of Croatian heritage, and in finding ways to promote Croatian culture in Great Britain. Thanks to her sensibility, she has helped us through the trust to start with the restoration process with repairment of chancel screen in St. Martin's Church in Split from 11th century, that is a plaster cast. All the work has been done, and we were finally satisfied how the things were going on. And then came the December of 29th and the earthquake in Petrinja. Our museum suffered again new damages. So we started all from the beginning. We did not have so much damage on collections, even though it was, but the walls and the building had a new gaps, cracks, and falling plaster all over again. So our priorities are protection, preservation, storage in lower parts of the museums, and hopefully complete renovation of building. We are proof that the heritage preservation and protection under the condition of crisis is a system of continuous and integrated network and activities. Informations are very important, and the resources and counting on the help of people and volunteers that have great sensibility for their heritage. So we are all thankful for help that they put in our museum and the time that they gave us to start with these processes. We are continuing and hoping for this complete renovation that we started to work on. Thank you for